Today our topic is online dispute resolution. Before getting into the topic, I would generally brief about BEAM, Bureau for the Empowerment of Arbitration and Mediation. It is a forum that aims at fostering arbitration and mediation among two-tier cities. Also, it strives for the major flip in both providing the training to the legal professionals and creating awareness among the general public. Being fosters to promote ADR process by conducting webinars and creating awareness programs to students, legal professionals, ADR professionals, and experts who are into ADR. So, without further ado, I welcome you all to the educational session. I'll be presenting on the topic online dispute resolution. So, without further ado, we'll see what is online dispute resolution. The definition was given by Honorable Arthur M. Monty Holt. He defines online dispute resolution as a branch of dispute resolution which uses technology to actually resolve the disputes between two parties. It involves negotiation, mediation, and arbitration, or a combination of all these three. Online dispute resolution is nothing but the progress of technology that has been progressing for over an era. So, significance of online dispute resolution, it uses technology towards efficient and affordable success to justice. The second one is disputes part of economic revival. During the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, we all know that there are many disputes involving economic revival, and ODR serves as a mechanism to solve all these disputes. The third one is achieving expedient resolution. The fourth one is it is informal. What is the procedure? It begins with the acknowledgement by signing online forms and also with the interchanging of vital documents. Here, all the messages are conveyed through email. Next comes with the institution as to what institution will be provided to resolve the dispute. It will either be an organization or a computer assisted software. You might feel that it is different or it is confusing. As I move forward through the PPT to the presentation, you'll know what is computer assisted software. Sessions, there'll be private sessions as well as caucus sessions. Private sessions are nothing but only the arbitrator and one of the party will be there. Caucus session is nothing but there'll be both the parties. The next one is pillars of ODR. Always dispute resolution comes with trust and confidentiality. Here, pillars of ODR adds up to convenience and also expertise in online dispute resolution. The challenges faced in online dispute resolution are our first one is cumbersome. It is clumsy. Unless you are an expertise in the field, you will find it very difficult to handle, and it is often expensive. The next one is lack of enough arbitrators, lack of human interaction and communication because it is online. Building trust and confidence is really, really difficult here. And there are various barriers like linguistic, cultural, and educational barriers. Also, with people who are not used to this digital ecosystem, they really find it difficult to approach this dispute resolution. The advantages of this online dispute resolution are it is time saving, it is cost effective, it is also convenient, and it is lucrative. There is no geographical boundary. The next one is eases the process of storing data. You just have the data stored in a cloud storage, and it is incorruptible also. You cannot corrupt the data. Then last one is ensure speedy access to justice. Here I'm gonna explain a few of, not a few, an example of how online mediation, online arbitration, and blockchain arbitration are done. The first one is online arbitration. Initially, the email is sent to the parties informing about the procedures of the mediation or information of the mediation as to when it is taking place. And meetings are conducted virtually in chat rooms. Here in chat rooms, you have joint sessions where the arbitrator and both the parties are present in the same chat room, or it will be a caucus or breakout room where the arbitrator hears two parties in two different rooms. Also, there is chat room for filing or storing documents. Advantages of online mediation. it is time saving. Also, it is parties flexibility. Let's say he doesn't want to have a hearing on Monday, he can shift it to Wednesday. He always conveys the message through email priorly, so it is parties flexibility. Faster resolution of matters comparing offline mediation allows parties time to fashion their response. When there is an immediate response in offline mediation, they might not be well versed at responding in the spot, but here they have a time to respond through their emails, so it allows parties to fashion their response. The next one is it is cost effective, and it is also convenient. There are a few disadvantages in online mediation also. The first one is dilute some of the key features of mediation, like human connection. You don't connect really with the parties, or you cannot see how they respond. That is the second point, may not effectively capture the various needs, interests, motivation, and emotion of parties. The next one is inflammatory comments. As all the message conveying is in email, there might be some comments which would damage the reputation of the parties. The next one is effectiveness of communication. Not everybody is good at literary skills, so the parties might not be well versed with the literature, and they might not be able to open themselves up in through email. The next one is online arbitration. In online arbitration, all the procedures of arbitration are conducted online. That is called online arbitration. Here, usually, it can be conducted through a video conferencing, but arbitrators today always prefer uploading evidential documents, and then the parties respond to the questions of the arbitrator, and then a decision is received from the arbitrator rather than a video conferencing. So the disputes range from business to consumer disputes. Widely, online arbitration deals with internet domain disputes. uh, these internet domain disputes are governed by service providers of ICANN, International Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, and also by UDRP, Uniform Domain Name Dispute Resolution Policy. Uh, to give an example, WIPO, World Intellectual Property Organization, is a service provider of UDRP. UDRP, what they do is they appoint a panelist to determine the dispute, and the decision of UDRP are not binding, but nevertheless highly effective. I know it sounds sarcastic because at the same time we say not binding, also it is highly effective. UDRP's decision is not binding on the parties, but it is always binding on the domain name provider. So the domain name provider has to make the changes which is included in the decision of UDRP. And also, if parties are not okay, if they're not satisfied with the decision of UDRP, they always have recourse to litigation. Researchers call this online arbitration is unpopular, not because it is a poor medium, but let's say the consumers think that they get more compensation. The compensation is higher in class action suits rather than in online arbitration. So the advantages of online arbitration is same as online mediation. The disadvantage is face-to-face interaction is less because the arbitrator, he receives the evidence, he just goes through the evidence and gives the decision. There is not really interaction with the parties. The last topic is blockchain arbitration. Blockchain arbitration is an emerging mechanism. It only goes for disputes with smart contracts. What are smart contracts now? Smart contracts are nothing but they are not really written in a language, let's say English or French or something. They are written with codes, they are developed with codes. So blockchain technology is nothing but it is an incorruptible digital ledger of transaction. Whatever you transact, it records. That is it. That is what blockchain technology is. Here, the database is not stored in a single location. It is spread across many times over a network of millions of computers simultaneously. That is, when I feed a information, it is processed over a millions of computers at the same time. So it is incorruptible. You cannot hack it. So let's say if a hacker wants to hack, he has to hack like millions of computers, which is not possible. The smart contracts are automatically executive or enforceable obligations. For example, let's say a simple contract to sell an item. If the buyer is gonna pay for the item, whatever he's purchasing, the ownership is automatically transferred to the buyer. So it executes or enforces the obligation automatically. The last one is when it involves complex contracts, there are several methods used, two of which I am going to explain is Code Legit and Kleros. Code Legit is nothing but it has a drafted set of blockchain arbitration rules, which will say who's to be appointed as an authority to decide the dispute. It can be a jurist or a blockchain technician. Communication is through email or video conferencing. This is same as the online arbitration, but here a computer assisted software is involved. That's it. So the communication can be either through email or the arbitrator, if he jurist or blockchain technician, if he prefers, he can have a video conference also. The next method is Kleros. In this data system, an entire quasi-judicial system is created. That is, let's say, a general court with two subcourt divisions. Here there will be jurors who are selected randomly for generating numbers. Let's say I apply for a blockchain arbitration. The Kleros system, what it will do is it will randomly generate numbers, and whoever, let's say the number is 4, and the fourth juror will be the one to decide the dispute, and he'll give the decision based upon the transactional evidence. Whatever evidence is presented in front of him, the juror will give a decision. Issues in blockchain arbitration, as it is an emerging dispute resolution mechanism, it has few issues. The first one is smart contracts are entirely in code. We know that everywhere in national legislation, we have a full formality requirement that it should be in writing. So sometimes these smart contracts might not be considered a valid contract because it does not fulfill formality requirements. That is, it is not in writing. Translating complex contracts into smart contract codes will be very difficult. Some codes might be translated correctly, some codes might not be translated correctly. So there always involves discrepancies. The third one is arbitration clause. We all know that New York Convention under Article 2 says that the arbitration clause should be in writing. In this blockchain arbitration, it is not in writing, it is in codes. So it might or might not satisfy. It depends on the nation which is taking the dispute into legislation. The last one is decision arrival of jurors. The jurors only use the evidence which is presented in front of them. And the New York Convention says that the disputing parties should always be heard. That is, they should be given an opportunity to present the case. If they are not given an opportunity to present the case, then it might not be satisfying for them. That is, the jurors do not hear the parties presenting their own case. They just decide with what the evidence is given to them. ODR in India, Niti Aayog, in association with Agami and Omidyar Network, has brought out key stakeholders from all over the world to advance ODR in India. Also, the UNCITRAL adopted the UNCITRAL model law on international commercial arbitration in 1985 and the UNCITRAL conciliation rules in 1980. The United Nations General Assembly also recommended that these model laws being adopted, they should also be put into use. So the legality, if we come to the legality of ODR, we already have acts, that is the Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996, which deals with the procedures, recourse to litigation, everything. The second one is Information Technology Act 2000. As this online dispute resolution, all the data are stored in online and it has information technology involved. We always depend on the Information Technology Act 2000. Also, Indian Evidence Act says that whenever an electronic data is presented, it can be taken as an evidence. So there is admissibility of legality of ODR in India. So a compelling option, uh, let's say a new normal. Every judge in India on an average is allocated 1,350 cases per year. So let's say part of this case is given to the lawyers. This ODR mechanism will definitely seem promising for the lawyers emerging in this field. Also, the lawyer should be an expertise in the field of online dispute resolution. Uh, a fun fact is that, not a fun fact, but still an interesting fact is that ODR also entails environmental impact. 11 billion sheets of paper is used per year in Indian courts. Indian courts alone use 11 billion sheets of paper per year, and the green cost of this usage will be 1.3 million trees and 109 billion liters of water every year. So that is it. Thank you everyone for your patience and your valuable time.